right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Kim Gardner in contempt of court? A hearing is just hours away. Tonight, the embattled circuit attorney's explanation for being a no-show to a murder trial. Tragedy tonight in Soulard. A fire takes the life of a musician.
Tom meant so much to so many.
Family and fans remember the man they call an icon of the local blues scene.
But first, a weather alert as a late season freeze is likely for many areas by daybreak Monday.
A chilly spring night in St. Charles, but things are about to get even colder. A freeze warning will go into effect there overnight. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush. Tonight, St. Louis City and County are under a frost advisory. Let's get straight over to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell with more on this late blast of Arctic air.
You know, really chilly stuff for this time of year in St. Louis. Not the latest freeze that we've ever had. In fact, we probably don't go below freezing in St. Louis proper. But outlying areas, some were down into the 20s west of St. Louis this morning. Many of us are going to be in the upper 20s to around 30 by early tomorrow morning. O'Fallon, Missouri is already down to 39 degrees. It's 41 in Washington. Edwardsville's 39. The air is extremely dry. Now that the sky has cleared and the winds have diminished, temperatures are dropping and doing so fairly quickly. Frost is likely in all areas and at or below freezing temperatures away from the urban area. That means you'll need to do some protecting of things perhaps that are outside that can't handle this. Have you planted anything recently? You might need to protect those plants, especially the summer annuals, your summer vegetables, even newly planted perennials that aren't used to this kind of cold. Temperatures that drop into the upper 20s in spots early tomorrow morning, those are the most susceptible. Use cloth, fabric, or paper. Don't use plastic and get it off by early tomorrow morning. The good news is this may be the last time we have to deal with freeze or frost. The bad news is we can't guarantee it. It's St. Louis in spring. We'll see in a few minutes talk about some warming temperatures when they happen and also about the northern lights. Mike?
And remember, you can get the latest weather first forecast anytime just by texting the word weather to 314-425-5355. We'll send it straight to your phone. We're just hours away from another court hearing surrounding St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner. It was 1 week ago a judge threatened jail time for contempt of court for her office being a no-show to a murder trial. Tonight, we're seeing Gardner's response to the judge, and it includes more finger-pointing. Our Laura Barczewski is live outside the Carnahan Courthouse with the latest. Laura.
Mike, in a filing, Kim Gardner's attorneys attached a series of text messages as to evidence why she's not responsible for no one showing up in court that day, pointing to one of her assistant circuit attorneys who was originally assigned to the case.
Last Monday, Judge Scott Milliken filed to hold Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner and her office in contempt of court after no one showed up for a murder trial that day. Jonathan Jones is accused of shooting and killing Brendan Scott, who crashed his car into the Arch grounds in September of 2021.
This was not set for a counsel status hearing or some kind of update hearing. It was set for a trial, and she didn't even show up to court. So now a victim suffers.
The most recent court filing on Gardner's behalf says Assistant Circuit Attorney Alex Polta was assigned to the case and took an abrupt leave of absence on April 6th, saying in a text message to another attorney in her office, Chris Hinckley, quote, "I have no trials, hearings, or depositions in the next 5 weeks." The messages also show on April 11th, Hinckley asked Polta about the case in question, saying, lastly, "You have 4 trial settings on for the week of April 17th. Are any of these cases likely to be called out?" Polta responded about 2 of the cases, but not the one in question, saying, quote, "Frankly, Chris, this is no longer my problem." 5 on Your Side trial analyst Scott Rosenblum says this filing shows Gardner continues to throw people under the bus.
You're the leader. You don't, that's not leading by pointing the finger at your subordinates. If anything, she should have known, and she's a lawyer, step up and try the case. If somebody didn't show up in my office and it was a case that was being handled by my office, we would have been there. I would have tried the case if I had to.
The filing says, quote, Ms. Gardner herself did not willfully and intentionally fail to appear in this matter, and she did not willfully cause the assigned counsel to fail to appear. Polta told 5 on Your Side just days ago he was considering running against Gardner, who has already said she plans to run in 2024. 5 on Your Side political analyst Anita Mannion says Gardner might not get the same support she had last time.
For most voters, I think that's the bottom line. It doesn't matter where it went wrong. Ultimately, you can only hear that excuse so many times before you say, this is your office and it's your responsibility. The buck has to stop somewhere.
According to the document, Gardner's office asked for Assistant Circuit Attorney Polta to appear at this hearing scheduled for tomorrow. If the judge does decide to hold them in contempt of court, they could be facing a fine or even jail time. Reporting live from downtown St. Louis, Laura Barteski, 5 on your side.
Tonight, investigators are trying to figure out what caused a deadly fire inside a Soulard home. Police have not identified the man found dead inside an apartment on South 9th Street, but tonight, loved ones tell us he's Tom Hall, a well-known blues musician here in St. Louis. 5 on your side's Mercedes McKay spoke with Hall's family and friends.
Devastated is how so many who knew Tom Hall say they feel today. Many calling him not only a music icon, but an icon in his neighborhood where he lived for years. Those who know him say they are heartbroken, but also determined to carry on his legacy and his music.
First, we have to get over that he's gone, and every hour it's like, did this really happen? You know? Right. And it'll be kept alive. I mean, he's one of those. He won't be forgotten.
Flowers now sit on the steps of 1830 South 9th Street in Soulard. The boarded up door filled with messages of love for a local musician gone too soon.
Tom meant so much to so many and just gave us a lot of joy with his music, his heart and soul. That's why I fell in love with him.
Family and friends shared memories as they grieved outside Tom Hall's home on Sunday morning after they say he died from a house fire the night before. The mother of his daughter told 5 on your side he had just returned from visiting her.
Jessica is about ready to give birth. She lives in Charleston, but Tom was looking forward to the birth of his first grandbaby.
The St. Louis Fire Department got a call just before 9 o'clock on Saturday about smoke in a building at an occupied 2-story home.
Crews quickly located the fire and the fact that we had what appeared at that time a deceased individual in the bedroom down on the floor.
Captain Garen Mosby says crews got the fire out within moments of getting inside.
Fire was just confined to that bedroom, small area on the floor, so really tragic.
The streets of Soulard seem a little quieter today after losing a man whose presence and music filled the streets with unforgettable sound.
It's going to lose a giant load of entertainment. You know, whether he's just walking around grumbling about something or playing songs or whatever, he'll be missed.
Right now, the St. Louis Regional Bomb and Arson Unit is investigating. Captain Mosby tells me police or the medical examiner's office will make the call when they can officially identify the victim.
Mercedes, thanks. Tonight, a Missouri State Highway Patrol trooper is recovering in the hospital after an accident that left 2 other officers hurt. Happened overnight on I-44 near Lindbergh. Police say 2 state troopers and a Glendale officer were pulled over with their lights on, investigating an abandoned car on the highway. That's when a semi-truck hit them. One of the troopers and the Glendale officer were treated and released. A live look tonight at the U.S. Capitol. The Senate could soon hold hearings over the ethical conduct of Supreme Court justices, and top senators from Missouri and Illinois could play a key role. This comes after media reports revealed a conservative billionaire paid for extravagant trips for Justice Clarence Thomas and bought real estate from him directly. None of it was disclosed to the public. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, has more. Mark?
Mike, the Supreme Court has long been revered as the nation's beacon of judicial fairness and careful wisdom, but now its justices face new question about their own judgment, transparency, and integrity.
In a letter to Chief Justice John Roberts, Senator Dick Durbin wrote the U.S. Supreme Court faces a crisis of public confidence and invited him to answer questions like this.
What is the court going to do to bring its standards of ethics up to the level even of other courts in this country?
Durbin chairs the Senate Judiciary Committee and appeared Sunday on Meet the Press to respond to ProPublica reports detailing how Justice Clarence Thomas accepted lavish luxury trips and sold real estate properties to GOP megadonor Harlan Crow.
If this were another judge, if this were a member of Congress, and it happened that some Texas billionaire came in and said, I'm going to buy your mom's house and the house is nearby, and own this so she doesn't have to pay rent or a mortgage payment, you'd say to yourself, well, that's obvious. That's the sort of thing that needs to be disclosed. That's a clear indication of a conflict of interest.
In a statement, Justice Thomas said he got advice that personal hospitality from close personal friends who did not have business before the court was not reportable. He has since acknowledged the reporting was accurate and said he will update his public disclosures. Senator Josh Hawley also sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee.
He attempted to follow the law and followed the advice he was given, which is all we can ask anybody to do. And I think now he said if he needs to amend his reports, he will. I mean, I think that's perfectly fine and upstanding. I think any effort to categorize him, to castigate him as somehow unethical, and this constant campaign of demonization against this justice, I think is just wrong.
No, it's not enough. Here's what I think. I think that the members of the Supreme Court need to have a code of ethics, just like everybody else, just like every other judge in our judiciary.
Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth said the appearance alone does damage to the nation's high court.
The Supreme Court certainly does have a credibility issue with the American people.
Congresswoman Cori Bush went even farther, calling the conduct lawless and corrupt, and even calling for the impeachment of Justice Thomas. So far, Chief Justice John Roberts has not indicated if he or some other justice might appear at that Senate hearing scheduled 1 week from Tuesday.